Bloom of ALB HR Solutions. And I hope I said that right. We are here. We're going to talk about leadership in the new, we're going to talk about leadership in the new world. Real quick, let's tell us the one or two lines of the gist of what it is you do. That'll give people context for our talk today and on leadership in the new world. And again, how to engage, motivate, and inspire people, influence people. And again, that way they can win with all the growth and change and challenges that have been going on.
Absolutely. Thanks, James, for inviting me today. So ALB HR Solutions has been in business for 14 years. I work with leaders in small to mid-sized organizations to help them be better, to help them identify growth and change within their organization. And I lead the projects to help implement their vision. And that could be anything from an HR process or policy to a change in an organization or a departmental reorganization, and I do it all for small to mid-sized organizations.
Okay, amazing. So thank you for being here. And I wanted Anne to come on, guys, to talk today because Anne and I have been talking a lot about different leadership groups as well, and really how to win in this brave new world. For those of you that have read that book, oh my goodness, I'm trying to think who wrote Brave New World. But wanted to talk about this and really how to win. What are you seeing out there, Anne, and both in terms of challenges and struggles people are facing with leadership as leaders, whether it's a solopreneur, whether it's a mid-market or an enterprise? What are the big challenges you're seeing right now?
I think the challenges, James, are all around how do you continue to motivate, engage, and build your employee morale when you might not see them for days on end. You haven't seen them for the last 15 months. You've spoken to them, but you haven't seen them. So how do you continue to engage? How do you continue to build morale? How do you continue to motivate employees through project work that you're giving them, through performance, through enabling performance and enabling growth within the employees? So I think, things really haven't changed in 15 months when you think about the employee. The employee wants to be recognized. They want to be developed. They want to continue to be seen as a value add in their organization. And leaders today are looking to their employees to tell them about themselves. So what's happened with their lives in the last 15 months since March of 2020, when they went home on a Friday afternoon and left their personal belongings in the office thinking that they'd be back in 6 weeks. Well, 6 weeks didn't happen. 6 weeks is now 16 months since anybody's been back in the office. Most people. Yes, there have been organizations that have brought their employees back on a hybrid role, depending on the definition of that. But for most employees, they've been working from home. And so what has that meant? Blended family. How many people are living at home with them? The kids, their kids have had, and working from home, their kids have had a rough 2 years because in 2019, it was all of the days that the schools were closed.
And open and shut and open and back to school and off.
Not back to school. And then in 2020, it was, well, we're not going back to school because COVID is too dangerous to send kids to school. So they've been homeschooling or they've been learning online. And it's affected their parents, people working from home. It's affected relationships. It's impacted the way kids work today and going forward. I can't wait for kids to go back to school in September, as most parents.
Neither can most parents I've talked to.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither can most parents. And it's interesting because there's been a whole multitude of challenges, let alone having kids at home. If I'm working with someone, or even here at the cottage, I have a friend or two up working with them. We still, different rooms. There's one of us outside and one of us taking a call in a bedroom. And if I'm presenting, I need the main room. See, it's presented interesting challenges. And for anyone that's a leader, and we mean leadership in any facet, however you're leading someone, even if you're a solopreneur, or if you're a executive CEO leading hundreds or thousands of people, I think a lot of the same challenges are there. Again, it's how to really connect with people, how to check in on people's mental health, and it's like, how are you doing? And almost becoming a coach. I have a saying that some of the best leaders are coaches, because you're literally there as a mentor and a coach to help people, and being really genuinely, instead of completely wrapped up in our own stuff. And I mean, I've done some work on this myself, and instead of just being wrapped up in our own stuff, how do we really listen? And how do we really start caring about other people, about our employees, our teams? Because I think that's the number one thing people want is to know they're listened to, they're heard, that you care as a leader, whoever you're leading, the vendors, the people you're working with, your teams, your employees, that you actually care, that you're actually listening, and you can actually do something. It was so motivating back when we were at IBM and Novell, and a new leader would come in or be hired to take over, and they'd fly out to the different sites to see us, and they'd tell us all the problems, what's wrong, what's working, what's not working. And we'd be excited. Oh, great, this is going to change. Things are going to be better. Life's going to be better. Work's going to be better. And nothing would happen. And so we lose a lot of respect for the organization, for that leader, and felt like, okay, he came and listened, or she came and listened almost as a show. It's like, okay, yeah, what do you want? What's not working? And then nothing happened. It felt like we weren't listened to, or since nothing was done, or at least there was no communication. Hey guys, I'm working on this. This is a plan to improve, I don't know, your computers or your internet, or plan to improve how you can interact with clients. None of the communication was there. So nothing was done, first of all. And then none of the communication was there, which I think was the biggest problem. If we knew they were working on things, there's things changing and developing, and what do you think of this idea? What do you think of this solution? Or here's what we're working on, I'd love your feedback. I think that would be huge, because people want to be listened to. And that makes a huge difference when they know you care, they know you're listening, and they know you're actually going to do something about it, versus, oh, that's great. I let them, blah, 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 and got it out of them, and back to normal. I think that almost does more damage than before. I don't know what your thoughts are on that end.
Yeah, no, you bring up some good points, James. I think that 16 months ago, leaders, CEOs, leadership teams, the first soft skill they needed to learn was empathy. Because a lot of leaders were, under the impression of, or under the thought process of, out of sight, out of mind. And if I don't see you, how do I know you're being productive? And then all of a sudden, leaders had to shift that mindset around, okay, so I don't see you, but I have to speak to you once a week, if not more, maybe once a day. Because we still need to have those fireside chats and those water cooler chats that can only happen either by Zoom or Teams or phone or something. So empathy was huge. That was the first real one. The second real one was, once you had empathy and you started to care about the individual, you had to ask questions. You had to get to know them as a human being. So, who are you living with? Who's at home with you? Where is home? Are you living in a 600 square foot condo in downtown Toronto by yourself? Or where are you? Where is home? And so
what's going on? What do you need?
Exactly. And the other thing that happened 16 months ago was it became fairly evident very quickly that people could work from anywhere. They didn't have to be in their dining room. Successful. And it still works. So they could be in their cottage. Hello. They could be living in Europe on vacation because they went home to see their parents and couldn't get back into Toronto. You can work from anywhere. You don't have to be in the GTA to get the job done. Yeah. And that's a huge shift in mindset for leaders today.
I think you're right. And it's the leaders, it's an interesting point, because the leaders that felt that they needed to micromanage, I think it's been hard on them, the ones that are micromanaging, and it, of course, that demotivates people like there's no end. The leaders that felt like they had to micromanage either put up with it, or had to, and find something else as a crutch, or realize, what are the results, and making sure people get the results and are equipped with what they need to get these results or outcomes. But then you do this however you need. If you need information, you tell me. If you need help, tell me. These are results we need, and of course, giving them training. But how do you want to do this? And that, just tell me, because that's your decision. And I think that further empowers people and engages people, because they have an opinion, they have input, they can contribute. Okay, I need this output. Well, I'm going to do it this way. And people are way more engaged about, giving them some of their own autonomy and leadership, and having some involvement versus do this now, do it this way, and I'm going to micromanage you the whole way around as well.
Yeah, and that doesn't work. That doesn't work in a remote society. That doesn't work when you're trying to be productive, working from home, and getting the job done the way your leaders want you to do it, and the way you feel like you're adding value to the organization. And then, along with that, along with empathy and along with listening, there also came the idea of, how do I manage performance when I don't see you? How do I manage performance when you're remote? And even if you're working in a hybrid environment, how do you still manage performance? And that was the other bit of training that needed to happen overnight.
Yeah.
When 16 months ago, when we went home, the thought was, there are companies and industries and positions that won't exist in 10 or 12 years. And that changed in 6 days. Just overnight, that changed. And so, you had, unfortunately, a lot of bankruptcies. You unfortunately had a lot of layoff and attrition.
Sad, yes.
You unfortunately had a lot of change in jobs, in salary, in the role that you were playing within the organization. And what it brought to light, again, unfortunately, is that there were some leaders out there who could lead a process, but were all but put in the position of leading people, and they didn't know how to lead people. But they could lead a process. And that's fine. So, it taught a lot of leaders that some leaders could survive in the new world, and some couldn't survive in the new world, and wouldn't survive in the new world, or their role had to be changed in order for them to be successful.
Or they're just basically they're whole. It's sorry to interrupt you, but or they're holding out for things to go back to normal, so they can micromanage again, or do what wasn't working, do what was comfortable, and that's not going to happen. Things are not going to go back to the old way, or it'll be a new normal. And a lot of people, like I said, will be remote. That of course, a lot of people these days, especially millennials, are huge on flexibility. And I think companies that allow a lot of flexibility, they're going to have the best employees, and employees will gravitate to them, versus you have to be in the office 7 days a week, versus, as long as you're doing your work, go work from your cottage, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then take the weekend off, or whatever. That's just an example. I think the most flexible and agile companies will win, and the ones that mandate their employees, come back in and have to be in the office. IBM did that, not to pick on IBM, but IBM did that a number of years ago. They said, okay, all our remote employees, you got to come in, centralize. And now, of course, they're obviously working to do the opposite now, because everything's going to be decentralized and remote. So what do you think? What are some strategies? Let's come up with some strategies. You and I were talking a really good amount before about strategies. How leaders can win, again, by listening, having empathy. One leader I interviewed for my next book called World Class Influence was talking about, I want to see humanity back in the workplace. And so that is a theme of, again, empathy, people caring, instead of people being wrapped up in their own stuff and in their own worries or fears or lives, really caring. And that's, I think, by default, going to make you a better leader, having better employees, better teams, higher performing teams, and it's going to automatically make you more influential. Because people know you care. People, if they know you care, they know you're going to be there for them. You're going to support them however you can. And by the way, come learn some coaching and mentorship tools if you like. But either way, if they know you care and you're there to listen and just brainstorm with them, ask great questions. I mean, it's one of the rookie mistakes is to just give too much advice, because people often don't take advice. Asking questions, letting them come up with their own ideas, their own solutions, their own, well, maybe I should do that, sir. What about this? And then, of course, if they ask for advice, give it. But like I said, asking great questions is key, and that empathy, I think that automatically, instantly gets you influence and persuasion, because people will want to stick around for you despite other companies cherry picking them or offering higher salaries, or they'll stick around during hard times, because if you're an amazing leader and they know you care, people just want to know that you care as a leader. People want to know you care and that you're listening, and that you
more
just
to the
do something.
Yeah, there's a little bit
Go
more
ahead.
to it than just caring, James. There's
For sure,
also
for sure.
that you're listening to me and you're understanding my point of thought. So, if you want to be a leader, a better leader in today's world, don't tell, ask.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly my point. Yep,
Don't
exactly right.
don't lead someone to the right conclusion. Ask what they're thinking and have a discussion about it, so that the conclusion that you and your team come to is the best for the organization, not the best for you as the leader. It's interesting. I think that, any leader that today is still saying, I want to go back, there's no going back. Back is but a memory.
Nope.
It doesn't exist anymore. We've been in the new world for the last 16 months.
Yep.
And it's only moving forward into making organizations better by understanding what growth and value add really is to that organization, and how they can continue to build the organization. It's not about, I've heard some leaders talk about building their revenue back from last year and all the revenue that they missed. It's not about building the revenue and the profitability that they missed in 2020. It's about making 2021 more valid to the success of the business.
True. And exactly those changes. Okay, how do we build a better foundation or a better rocket ship so we can go exactly first? Okay, let's go back, and how do we fix the old ship? Well, no, the old ship, right, I think it is broken. It was always broken, and COVID, I think, has been really great for some people that are willing to pivot, willing to shift, and again, like I said, leaders who are not waiting just to go back to the old ways. It's okay, they pivoted. This is the new way, and who've embraced it and excelled during it, and willing to be uncomfortable versus just, okay, well, things are going back to normal or the old way. I think you're right. It's how do we embrace this brave new world and be better and again lead our teams, and like you said, asking questions and actually caring instead of being so wrapped up in our own worlds. We're just waiting for someone to finish speaking or finish talking. We're waiting for someone to shut up so we can respond or so we can talk, right? Or so we can get on with our day. Okay, well, I hope they say this quickly. I hope they get on with this quickly. I hope they shut up quickly. I hope they finish because I got to do this or do that, and I have all these things to do. I think people are just, you need to be present and listen. And that alone, I think, will build relationships, influence, trust, emotional capital. It'll build people and teams that will stick around for you. That'll do anything for you, follow you because they want to, not because you're like, do this or you're fired. It'll build teams that want to be with you, want to give you their best, want to do that because you're their leader and they want to be awesome with you.
And what's that saying that people are talking about? You listen to actually hear, not listen to respond.
Right on.
And so I think it's so important to give your employees an opportunity to talk about not only their feelings, but also some of the viewpoint that they have on how do I make this department, this process, this business better. Because what HR has learned, thanks, Vishal, what HR has learned in throughout this pandemic is leaders need to be more understanding. They need to be more open to value add to other people's thoughts. They need to give their employees a chance to communicate well, to just be able to say what they're thinking instead of worrying about what they're saying.
That's the thing. That's exactly the thing. And instead of, to your point, instead of worrying about what are, and yeah, Vishal's got some great points. Your communication is key and real communication. And one of the things I do is train communication. And I love when people say to me, oh, no, I'm already I don't need this. I'm already a great communicator. Or I already communicate well. Well, you may speak well. You may talk well. You may speak English properly, but are you truly communicating well? And if your business, your career, your job, your whatever is in your relationships are not where you want them to be, I will personally guarantee you, that your communication is not where it needs to be. And we all need to shift. We all need to change this, right? And I mean, Amanda Kelly, she says leaders have to trust their employees more and empower them exactly to do their jobs without micromanaging. Trust is huge. And sure, there are people, and that's a great point. I mean, sure, there'll be people that take advantage of it, and those are the ones we either don't promote or we fire, or we redevelop them. We have conversations with them, saying, okay, what's not working here? You know, but then giving trust, and I think that is a lot, goes a long way. Giving trust and having a communication with, we give you trust and we trust you.
Yeah.
And you know, do more of the great stuff. That's the thing, and empower people. When I was back at you know, certain companies, and I was begging them, can I literally, the customer has this problem, or our team, can I do this for them? This is going to make it right. This is all they want. Well, no, we just give them this little thing that's going to essentially be a slap in the face, or, well, it's got to go through 12 layers of red tape. I'm like, can I just make it right now? Can I make it right for them right now and win them, have them stay, have them not request a refund or whatever? Can I fix this now? And that's the thing. We got to get out of these multiple layers of bureaucracy. Oh no, to give them a $50 discount, you got to have a supervisor or a manager. You got to escalate all the way up. It's ridiculous. That's the old way of doing things. Empowering people and having agile teams is how we're going to win, and how you're going to keep customers and steer them away from companies that are not as agile and that are too bureaucratical or are all the power at the top, right?
So when we all started back in our early days of our career, we were taught the very basics of communication, where 7% of what you communicate is the words that you use, and 55% of how you communicate is your verbal communication skills. And your body language, and you know, how do you look at somebody? How do you smile when they're talking? You know, are you thinking about something else, or listening to another conversation that's happening close to you? And it's so important today that leaders learn actual communication.
Yeah, right on.
That they learn how to listen, that they learn how to provide feedback, that they learn how to take what's being told to them and listen to what the hidden message may be, but also what's actually being said.
And that's the thing. We've all heard of, you know, read between the lines, but listen between the words to what's being said, what's not being said. What more do you need to ask for? There's something there. I think there's something there, and asking and digging further, I think is key. And just the trust and loosening their tight grip. I mean, if someone is given trust, they're not going to be at their best, because they're always wondering, am I going to get in trouble, or do I get to check in this, or I don't want to do that. I don't like to check in with this. People will never be at their best unless they're empowered and given trust. And I think it's definitely a key thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's important. It's important.
And
it's
to your point earlier.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
I was going to say to your point. That's so funny. Go ahead, please, after you.
It's not only about communication. It's about all of the other traits that are needed to be successful as a leader. So it's empathy, it's caring, it's communication, it's listening, it's trust. It's building trust with your employees. And just because you're a leader doesn't mean you've earned the trust. You have to earn the trust. Or the role. But you have to earn the trust from your employees, just like your employees have to earn your trust as well.
Yeah, and the respect, you know, I would even say you have to earn the respect.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. You know, you hear why people leave organizations. They don't leave the organization because they don't like what they're doing. They leave an organization because they don't like their boss, or their boss isn't hearing them or treating them for what they consider to be fairly, or whatever it may be. But I think that it's important around building the right traits as a leader to be successful in the role as a leader. You mentioned before that you have to be a coach and a mentor. I think you need to be a coach. Yeah. I don't think you need to mentor. There are other people in the organization who can act as mentors to your employees, but they leave the manager, they leave the people, as Pino said. Hi, Pino.
Hey, Pino.
You know, they leave their manager. They leave teams if the teams are not cohesive. You know, they don't leave companies.
Right on. Exactly. Like Pino said, people, not companies. If they,
That's right.
like you said, it's rarely because they hate their job, or maybe they hate their job, quote unquote, because they hate their manager or the leadership team or the leadership organization, right? That's usually what it is. And I think it can be a big thing to really actually listen. And I think that most people don't effectively or as effectively as they need listen. It's either you're on the phone and you're multitasking, doing something else, or
Right.
you're talking to someone, but you're thinking, okay, I got to pick up the laundry later. I got to get the mail. I'm worried about I got to pay my mortgage or my whatever is worried about this, and this person's going to do this, or worried. Our own worries that, I got to appear smart and knowledgeable and know what I'm talking about. So while they're talking, we're thinking about our response in order to be right on. Okay, you know what you need to do is this and that and this and that, instead of actually listening. And I mean, is someone really, and we're still where I used to do this, so worried about, okay, I'm going to be seen as an expert, or people know what I'm talking about, because if I got to think for a second, are people going to think that I don't know what I'm talking about? But if you ask me a question, and if I say, because we've been asking questions back and forth here today.
Right.
If you ask me a question and I say, that's a really good question. Well, let me think about that for a sec. Or my thoughts on that, they're probably, and blah, 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 versus having to really jump the second you finish speaking, jump and say, well, this and that. And I think that's why a lot of people are not truly listening and not truly communicating. Everyone's like, I communicate well, or I got great communication skills, or I can, whatever. Yes, you may have great talking skills, but you have great listening and thus communication skills overall. Are you looking at, to your point, body language, pitch, tonality?
Yeah.
The visualization behind, saying yes but shaking their head, or are they nodding but saying no, right? What is behind that communication, and are you watching for it, and are you listening for it, and are you literally present with them 100%? Are they the most important person in the world to you at that moment? You're listening and not thinking, how do I respond, or what do I say, or because that's what gets us in trouble in the first place. What should I say? Or, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to say. Am I going to look stupid? Are they going to think I don't know what I'm talking about? Whatever. And that is not a good way to listen. And recall and be actually present. That people know.
That's not listening to respond. That's not listening to hear. That's just listening to worry, and that gets you absolutely nowhere. And Pino, you bring up a good point around people accepting less money in today's world to get into an organization or with a company that they want to be with.
Yeah.
Because of the people, because of the role they're going to be playing. And I've heard it happen. I have mixed thoughts about people taking a salary decrease.
Agreed.
Because are they going to get back to where they were? How long will it take them? What is their value? But I've heard it happening. I don't necessarily agree with it, because I think that people shouldn't undervalue the skills and the competencies that they bring to an organization. And if the organization doesn't, and if the organization doesn't value the skills you bring, then they will offer you less money. It's up to you to decide whether you want to take it or not. That's the thing. And it's an individual decision. So nobody can tell somebody to take less money.
And the other thing too is, if not accepting a pay decrease, often what I've seen is people, and I've done it too. I had an amazing manager when I was at Novell. His name was Hugh Godds, an amazing man. If he's listening out there on LinkedIn land, I love you, brother. But he's so amazing, and I was willing to stick around for him because he was such an amazing manager. And stay there despite recruiters coming out of all the walls and trying to recruit me and have me go to other companies that are paying a lot more. It's like, well, okay, is it going to be as good, and my relationship's going to be as good? He was very flexible too. He let me work, for example, from the cottage on a Thursday and Friday, so I could go out.
Right.
And just the flexibility, it was great, and he would listen. He would give us time. So yeah, people often stick around during hard times or change or challenge, or again, being offered more money. They'll stick around for who actually listens and to your point.
That's right. Depending on how the leader makes them feel, depending on how the team makes them feel. And it's all the way down from the top. It comes down from the CEO, and it cascades down on how you make people feel in the organization.
Exactly. And one of the words I hated hearing.
Sorry.
Please finish your thought, and then I'll start a new thought.
Go ahead.
Finish your thought.
Go ahead.
So one of the words I hated hearing was no. No, we can't. No, I can't. And no. And I still hate that word, because I'm a how can I? Let's think, how can I kind of guy. And I hate the word no, because there's never no. Where there's a will, there's a way. If they value enough, they'll find it. If you ask for a raise versus telling your leaders you need a raise or promotion, you tell them what you want. That's a whole nother way to get it. But if you tell them you need it and they say no, we can't, and then you threaten to leave, you're like, well, I'm going to go then. I'd love to stay, but I have to go. This is other company offering me more or whatever. And then all of a sudden, most of the time, they'll counter. Well, hang on. Let's see what we can do. Don't make any rash decisions. Well, you forced me to, right? You told me no. So like I said, really valuing people, and instead of thinking, oh, we don't want to give them a 5 or 10K or whatever 40K raise, look at the results of what did we do? Keep them around. Are they awesome? If they're not awesome, then okay, maybe not. Let them go. But if they're an awesome employee, what does that cost to the organization? Of A, retraining a leader alone, but B, the cost of not having this amazing leader there, for giving them another 10, 20, 30, 40K a year. I mean, what is the actual cost of that? And it's monumental versus, oh no, it's not in the budget this year. We can't give you another 2K or 5K or whatever, 10K, whatever it is, right? So, and you're going to say, Anne.
Yeah, so you bring up an interesting point, James, because there are a lot of organizations in today's world in 2021 who have decided not to give salary increases this year, given the world that given the year that we just came out of, and given how this year is moving forward. There are other organizations, and let me backtrack for a second. We know in today's world that salary increases are going to be between 1% and 3%, right across the board. We know that. But there are organizations who have had fabulous years, even throughout the pandemic, who are looking at giving their employees a much bigger increase to say thank you for sticking with me for the year.
Sticking around. Yeah, exactly.
And all it takes is a small thank you. That's all it takes for people to understand that they're being valued and recognized. Right. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be money all the time. There are non-monetary rewards that you can give your employees that are equally as beneficial as saying thank you. And saying thank you is one of those non-monetary rewards.
Exactly.
People like to hear
more
it.
Vacation.
People like to know they're valued.
Yeah, well, exactly. And like, hey, you did well during COVID working from home. Would you like to stay working from home or 2 or 3 out of 5 days a week or 4 whatever days a week? Do you want some more vacation? Because that's a very cheap way. And I believe in lots of time off and rest, because then you're going to be at your best versus companies that only give 2 or 3 weeks vacation. I think you're burning employees out and they're not at their best. That's my opinion. However, I've seen the differences between, even Europe and here and differences in performance. People
have been working really hard the last 16 months.
That's the thing.
So recognizing an employee by giving them, time off, additional time off, or by, just saying to them, take your wife or your spouse out on a date on us because we know, bring in food, do whatever you need to do. There's no going to restaurants nowadays. I'm not going to a restaurant anytime soon, but
and it's a pain anyways. And you're outside, at first it was you're outside and bearing the cold. Now you're outside bearing the heat. So you can't win right now. Right. So to your point, it's like doing something really cool.
But doing something to show your employees that you recognize and understand that they too have been inconvenienced in the last 16 months.
Okay. And actually care and show you care. Actually care instead of being wrapped up in your own world, and show you care, right? Show you care.
Yeah.
Amanda's got a really, really good point, right? And as she reinforced what we just said, she values the experience over money more than. And is it flexibility? Is it time off? Is it a cool, like I said, a cool dinner, or being considered for different things, or a sporting event, or here's tickets for whatever, or like maybe it is some monetary, partial or full monetary. What it is,
doesn't
right?
have to be non-monetary. That's the best value add and reward you can give to your employees.
Exactly.
Doesn't have to be
because money comes and goes. No, and money's taxed anyway. It's cut in half the moment you get it anyways by the government. So you get recognition or special roles or being considered for certain things, or maybe more time off, and they'll perform better anyways, I promise you. Whatever it is, again, allowing the continued work from home or flexibility, whatever it is. I think that's even more valuable. And as Amanda has said, she values experience over the money far more than anything, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And learning most valuable skills, and often, like she said, being the best she can be. And like I said, they don't value don't value people or who they are, and that people are individual, and that's a great thing. Versus, oh, we need all these robots that think the same. No,
Absolutely.
you don't want that, because then you have a single focus, and that's not good for any organizational relationship, right?
No, it's not. It's not. Good point, Amanda. Thank you for sharing. But I think it's important. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, any last thought you were sharing? Any last thoughts before we conclude for today? Because this has been a great chat. We've got some great comments and suggestions and feedback. You were going to say, Anne.
Yeah, no, I think that leaders need to be successful moving forward as we go into our next new business, whatever that may be, by recognizing their employees, by treating them fairly. The golden rule still stands. Treat others as you would like to be treated. It still stands today. We learned it when we were in school. We were young, but it made sense then. It makes better sense now. Just be the type of leader and the type of person that you want to be. And so that people can understand the value that they bring to the organization, and they understand the recognition that they're getting.
Agreed. And Pino makes a good point as well about candidate experience. Tell us a little more, Pino, about your question, because I think that is a valuable question. Let me know, tell us a little more about that, and then we'll wrap up. But I think it is valuable, and it's so. I think
I know where Pino's coming from this.
Oh, go ahead, contribute.
Candidates who are interviewing with organizations are talking a lot about the experience they're having throughout the interview process as a candidate for that organization. And unfortunately, what's happening in today's market is that people are so busy, they're not necessarily taking the time to respond to candidates, to tell them where they are in the process and what next steps may be. And we've heard a lot about, the phrase ghosting. Organizations are not calling candidates back, as Pino is saying. They're ignoring them, even though they've interviewed and they've had maybe one or more interviews, and they're not hearing back from organizations in terms of what's next steps. Was I successful? Was I not successful? If I wasn't successful, why wasn't I successful? Give me some feedback instead of just ghosting me. And candidates are really looking for that feedback today. They're looking, as you said, James, at the beginning, they're looking to put human back in the process. And we need to put the human caliber back in the process again. It's been taken away because of time restraints or whatever the case may be, but let's get it back where candidates are feeling like they're being understood, they're being valued, it's fair market value, it's all of these things. It is one of my pet peeves as well, Amanda. Thank you for saying that. I get it. And it's so important that recruiters and hiring managers understand that if they were in the same position and looking for work, how would they feel? Put yourself in the candidate's shoes and do the right thing, please. Please. That's it.
And exactly. And because you might lose some good people. Either they may give up, they may go somewhere else, or just not respect a company that doesn't keep in the loop. So as hiring people, leaders, whoever you are, however big your company is, keep in touch with people. Let them know what's going on, because you may lose a really, really great person. You may lose a fantastic person.
Not may. You will lose a really valued employee who could have been one of your high performers in the organization, but because you ghosted them and never got back to them and didn't tell them what they were, they walked away and went to another organization who was paying attention to them and who was giving them the value add that they needed. That's all. So,
and that's it. I think leaders need to help their employees win, and not in the traditional sense. You help them win so they can, make the big bucks, so they can hit the numbers or whatever it is, right? And again, it can make or break, like Amanda said, it can make or break a company. And yes, word does travel. Wow, this sounds like a crappy company, or their interviewers suck, or I would never want to work for this company. This interview went this way, and yeah, word travels quick. And so the best talent, you might get the worst talent coming still. The best talent is not going to come back to that company and apply for jobs or seek to work there. But back to my thought about, leaders it's their job. It literally is their job to help people win, but not just at the revenue or the numbers or the stats. Helping teams and employees win at any level of their lives, because the way T. Harv Eker, he founded the Millionaire Mind systems, and multi-millionaire. He says the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So one area of your life will be similar to another area. So if one thing is affected, it's going to affect the other. So helping our employees, our people either get resources or again, I think one of the best things is having a leader who becomes a coach and listens and cares and helps them look at other areas of their lives, get resources, take action, get them moving and help them shift and actually help them win all over, not just get the numbers or what do you need to help you.
Yeah, I think employees today need to realize and recognize that they are the ambassadors of the company that they work for. And as ambassadors, they're the one that can make or break a company and make or break how they treat employees and how they treat candidates. Please do the right thing.
That's the thing.
That's all.
And you're going to get better people anyway. So even if it's for a very selfish reason, you're going to get far better people anyway. And they're going to perform far better as well. Even if it's for a selfish reason of the numbers and the revenue or the productivity, you're going to get better results and better productivity.
Absolutely.
First, and really listen.
Absolutely.
Really listen. Instead of being wrapped up in our own, and that it's a very unconscious and automatic thing. We all get wrapped up in our own stuff. It happens. It's human nature. It happens to me still. So time to time, I've done a lot of work, but being so wrapped up, we listen or hear someone, but then we don't do anything about it, or nothing happens, or there's no follow up, and people think of just the follow up we were talking about for candidates, looking for candidates and following up with them. And that's a thing, and if people don't follow up, whether it's a leader or they've listened, okay, well, let's put that in the back burner because I don't want to deal with that, or I don't have time, or that's uncomfortable to talk about, or whatever it is. Just listen and be someone to listen. I guarantee you, your employees are going to be way better, way happier, more productive, and get things done. And the workplace itself will be amazing. So,
yeah, agreed, absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Any last thoughts? Hey, Matt, welcome. Any last thoughts as well, and for us before we wrap up today, or any of you guys joining us?
This has been a great conversation, and I really appreciate the audience giving us their thoughts and feelings as well. Thank you so much for your participation. I will just say, and as a plug for me, but if I can help any organization with any human resources or operations needs, the name of my company is ALB HR Solutions. I can be found at www.albhrsolutions.com, or my email is anne.bloom, BLOOM100 @gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from everybody.
There we go.
James, thank you so much.
As always, and as always, thank you. And thank everyone for joining us as well, whether you're live or on the replay. Thank you for being here, Anne, as well. It's been a lot of fun. We got a lot of great comments from people, a lot of great interaction. I think it's a big topic. And again, happy to serve myself as well. Again, leadership training I do, communication, trust, influence training, persuasiveness training. If you want to influence your people positively and lead effectively, let's talk about some of the non-traditional leadership trainings that are out there, and rather talk about the non-traditional really way to lead versus some of the other leadership trainings. That not knocking anything, but there's some really cool things that people I don't think are thinking about or don't think they're teaching in other leadership trainings. And that's why I love empowering leaders and ensuring the success of leaders, mentors, teams, organizations, and people, right? Ensuring the success. That's what I do. If you want to chat more, would love to chat. Unleashyourpower.com, James at unleashyourpower.com. And I still love the phone the old fashioned way, 905-717-9481. The YouTube channel, James R. Elliott, Unleash Your Power. YouTube channel, lots of great mind hacks, goodies, awesome podcast interviews like this as well. We love what we do. Thanks for joining us, everyone, today. And again, myself and Anne, thank you, and hope you enjoyed this and got a lot of value from it. So everyone, go get your best today.